Hello and welcome to another episode of The Wannabe Entrepreneur, the podcast about what's really like to bootstrap a company. And today we have another interview, and I bring you another Twitter superstar, Mr. Tony Dinh. Hey Tony, welcome to the show.
Oh, hello, Tiago. Thank you for having me. I don't know if I'm a superstar or not, but but thank you for the kind words.
I think if you have more than 10K followers on Twitter, in my mind, you qualify as a superstar.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I guess
but
so.
it's only my mind, so I don't know about the others, but it's my podcast, so I decide.
I thought the same when I was below 10K too. Like 10K was a very big milestone for me in terms
Yeah.
of growing an audience on Twitter. So yeah, but now my goal is like 100K, like Peter levels.
Yeah, like Peter
and
levels.
and other people in the indie hackers community.
You're definitely going in that direction. And when I first started, I don't know, I'm now reaching the 1K mark. And of course, before when I first started and I had like 10 followers, I thought 1K is crazy. But now I'm getting to the 1K and I think, okay, I mean, it's not that big. So I guess your goals always adapt depending on what you're able to achieve. And as a kind of introduction, I think a lot of people here listening already know about you or follow you on Twitter. But we're just chatting about this, that you basically quit your job in August 2021. So actually after me. And you have achieved so much in less than a year. That is crazy, right? So you're building DevUtils at first, which actually now I think you have Google already as your client, which is amazing. And then you built Blackmagic, which is super famous tool, probably one of the most used analytics and not only analytics, but kind of tool for Twitter users. And it's been growing like crazy. As you just spoke, you just also grew a lot your Twitter account. So yeah, today I just want to talk with you about your journey to understand what came to your mind. I don't know, why did you decide to actually quit your job and start your entrepreneurial or indie hacking career? So I think that's kind of my first question. Can you describe a little bit about your background, about yourself, and what made you decide to start this journey?
Yeah, let me go back to when I was started learning to code, like at the very beginning. So I started to learn to code because I was trying to build apps and build products. And I was around 16 years old or 17, I don't remember correctly, but I already building a lot of apps and products using Visual Basic 6. So I guess the entrepreneur mindset has been with me since the beginning. And I think I was one of the lucky people who find the passion early, so that I can choose my career path and my education in college, in high school, specifically to go toward the one that I want is to become a developer. So I guess that's a lucky thing in the early life.
Not a lot of people have that idea to be developer from the start, I think.
Yeah, that's true, and I feel like it's a very difficult problem for a lot of people. Like up until before they even join college, or even when they are in college, they still don't know what they want to do. So I feel
Definitely.
I don't know what to do about that, because it's up to people, right? I can only see that I'm lucky that I find it, but other people might have not have that luck. Some people even take it until they 30 years old or 40 years old to really do a career change and finally do what they love. But yeah, I guess it's lucky for me. And then after I graduate from college, I didn't really pay attention to my passion anymore. After I graduated from college, I guess some sort of social pressure that pressed me to get a job fast and get a high salary. And there's a lot to learn in the developer space and in the coding, engineering, programming. A lot of awesome people out there. So I feel like there are a lot more to learn. So after I graduate from college, my goal for a few years after that was to get a high paying job, then try to learn as much as I can in the first few years in my career, learning all about programming and technologies.
So I can really see your passion for coding. And you grew
Yeah.
up in Vietnam, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Vietnam and study in Ho Chi Minh City, and then work in Ho Chi Minh City for a while. Then moved to Singapore and worked there for a while, and then I quit my job, and now I'm
Okay.
here, back to
And in
Vietnam.
Vietnam, is it like normal for people to study software engineering?
I think it was quite popular a few years ago. I'm not sure
Okay.
how is it now, because I'm out of the I'm out of the local market now. But
Right.
a few years ago when I was in college, it was one of the hot industry
Okay.
that people
Okay.
register. Yeah.
And why? Why do you think people were so interested for coding? Was it passion? Was it because of the possibilities of maybe, I don't know, moving out or getting a lot of money? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in Vietnam. This is my personal view. I obviously don't
Of
have,
course.
cannot speak for everyone, but I think from my friends and people that I know, there are a lot of pressure, social pressure about getting a job after you graduate. And
Yeah.
at the time, becoming a developer is an easy way to get a job because
Yeah. Yeah.
there
Yeah.
was a shortage of developer back then.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a funny thing about the university that I went, that they advertise that. So in their marketing material, they advertise that after you graduate, they will guarantee that you will
Yeah.
be recruited by them. And actually, if
Ah.
you get the scholarship from them, you are obligated to work for them for 3 years after
Oh,
you graduated.
really?
And a lot of
That's
people take
crazy.
that as a warranty, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
are
Yeah. Yeah.
really looking forward to it. But the
Yeah.
reality is, when you work for that company for 3 years after you graduate, you lost a lot of opportunities outside.
Yeah.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and the thing that people thought that was a benefit for them were actually
Yeah.
not. Was really
It's
not,
funny
because
because here in
yeah.
Portugal it's kind of similar, right? So
Mm,
people know, or everyone wants to take a degree, first of all, because
mm,
maybe it's changing now a little bit, but before for sure, like when I went to college, everyone is like, yeah, you need a degree so that you can find a job, and you need to find a job super fast. And I know
mm,
that, for instance, in Germany, the mentality is a bit different. People kind of take gap years and so on, but in Portugal, your family wants you to get a job right away. And once you graduate, or
mm,
you are actually about to graduate from college, a lot of
mm.
consultancy companies come and try to grab you, from the start. And they give you like a nice paycheck. You think it's a nice paycheck, but what you don't realize that you'll be actually, yeah, losing a lot of other opportunities because they, just from the start, you still didn't even finish your last exams and they're already kind of giving you a job. And most of the people, because they are
Yeah,
so afraid, they end up getting the job and taking it.
yeah. I'm surprised that the story is quite the same here in Portugal.
Yeah, but I guess for you it was a different reason. I don't know. I see some kind of spark in your eyes when you speak about code, and there's a certain kind of passion there. What
Definitely.
attracted you to engineering and software engineering in particular? What do you like about it?
It was very clear to me that my passion for software and coding comes from building products for people. So
Ah,
I've built a lot of products when I was very young, but I did not make any money because it wasn't very easy to do that in Vietnam
mhm.
10 years ago.
So tech products,
Yeah, tech product.
right?
I make softwares, stupid softwares, but I made a lot
Hmm.
of them.
Tell me the most fun or interesting one you made.
The most complicated one I have made is an antivirus software.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
yeah, I know, right? But the way it works is very easy. I tell this to most people, and then they after they hear, they say that, well, antivirus software is quite simple. So you have a database of all the signature from all the binary of the virus,
True. 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 Yeah.
and then you just compare that to all the
Yeah.
files, and that's one of the primary way to detect the virus. And back then
Hmm.
people were using Windows mostly, and I somehow I got in hand a database of 100,000 signatures or something. People share that
Uh huh.
in open source. So I grabbed that and I combined that with a lot of database, signature database from Vietnam, and I also
Hmm.
myself go and collect more signatures uh,
Yeah,
binary file signatures, the MD5 hash, if you know about that.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
anyway, I collected a lot of them and I bundled them into a antivirus software, and I
Mhm.
get them. I get the software to competition, got a prize, and it got me go in places quite a lot. So I'm pretty proud.
Really? So
Yeah,
cool.
but now the software is dead now, and I make zero
Uh,
money.
why did you make zero money? Like, what was it missing? Because I mean, you made a software, it got prices. Why were you not able to make money back then?
Yeah, it was very difficult to make money online back then.
Okay.
I'm very grateful that now we have Stripe and Paddle and other payment
Oh
processor that
yeah, yeah,
allows
yeah.
us to sell to anyone on anywhere. But back then,
Mm-hmm.
the only way for you to sell software, well, firstly, if you
Ah,
can at all, people
yeah.
don't buy software back then. They just don't. So
True.
especially in Vietnam. So yeah, software always
So they would
in their
pirate it.
mind was yeah, one either pirated or free. So
Right, right,
people
right, right.
usually
Yeah.
they don't buy it, and the only option that even if you want to buy to sell software is to use a mobile carrier.
Mm-hmm.
So you tell people to text a message to this number, and then they got charged to
Ah,
their mobile carrier balance, and
wow.
then the carrier takes
Yeah.
60% of that.
Yeah. Oh, 60%.
Yeah.
That is
Sometimes even
crazy.
higher. So when I learned
Yeah.
about that 60%, I got angry. I
Yeah,
cannot
yeah, yeah.
accept that. I would rather give it for free. so,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's
Yeah,
the
it makes a little
history.
sense. It's funny because it's just my last interview was with Luca, and he also started building apps from the like a young age, and he was telling exactly the same. That in the beginning, a lot of people would pirate the apps,
Yeah.
uh, and then he had to do advertisement. So, and that's I guess why advertisement became so popular, such a popular business model for web products, because yeah,
Yeah.
you get almost all the money. People still get the product for free. They cannot pirate, or there's no point on pirating then. So that's why then kind of yeah, advertisement became such a huge model, right?
Yeah. I guess that was a pretty big way to make money online.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, a lot of people I know make money from advertising, and they do blog
yeah,
posts. Some of them are good blogs, but some of them
yeah,
that are just straight out spam
yeah.
to get
Exactly. Yeah,
traffic from Google, and
yeah,
it's just bad. I don't like it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't like advertisement as a business model?
I don't like it as much, and
Mm-hmm.
especially don't like if you put up a spammy blog just to get
Yeah.
traffic so that you can get advertisement
Mm-hmm.
revenue. That's
Yeah.
not a good way to do it. And in general, I
Definitely.
if I can charge the user directly, I would do it instead of doing advertisement.
Yeah, that's a very good mindset. Something that I'm also trying to do here, even with this podcast. But it's not easy. It's not easy. You know, for instance, podcasts. People they don't want to pay for podcasts. Normally they are free, and they are some
Yeah.
most of the times okay with advertisement. So let's continue here to your to learn about your journey. So you studied, you got your got out of college, and you got your first jobs as I guess a front end engineer at first, and you eventually start doing also a back end at Zendesk, correct?
Actually, I started backend. Well, I was always working on some kind of side project, and my
Mm.
side project I work on backend on my side project. So
Okay, of
so in
course,
the
yeah.
early years of my career, I don't have the chance to work on backend. So
Hmm.
I have to use my side project to practice and to
Hmm.
learn.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So without my side project, I will not be able to do backend and will
yeah.
not be able to land a backend position in my next company. So yeah,
Yeah, I totally relate to that because also for me, I think the reason why I got my first job at Trivago as a backend engineer was because of my side projects, not because of actually what I've learned in college. Was because I was
awesome,
trying to build websites with PHP, and and I showed that, and I kind of learned that based on my
awesome,
side projects. So I think we have that in common for sure.
awesome.
And so tell me about your experience working for others, like because for me, I was super excited at first, and then I would always get bored, or I would always feel there was something missing, right? So tell me, was it the same for you?
Yeah, I think it's really depend on the job. So in total, I work for companies for 7 years. So the first company was the most fun I had with my company. I think I get lucky again. I landed it in company that at a medium small size, so people are kind of close together,
Yeah,
and a lot of them are still friends until now. So
yeah.
that's I guess I get lucky again, but it did not happen again for my later companies.
Okay.
And also
Why
in
did you
terms
leave
of
the company
the
if you liked
company,
it so much?
they they shut down because uh,
Ah,
so even that was an outsourcing company, and they
mm-hmm.
get a customer so big that they decided to sell out the whole team to that client,
Yeah, yeah.
and they do that twice. So after two times of acquisition, there's no one left. So
Oh, that was a
they shut
really
down the
bad
company.
decision. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was my team was sold to another company in Vietnam, and that
Mm-hmm.
worked quite well. But the new company wasn't a very technical company. They are a retail company. So
Okay. Okay.
at some point, I decided that it wasn't a good fit anymore. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so all these first companies were in Vietnam, right?
yeah, yeah.
When did you decide then to move?
I think I worked for that company for 2 years, mostly doing front end and a lot of experiment on front end stuff. So I gained a lot of
Mm-hmm.
experience on design and front end and CSS from that company.
Okay. Design too? You do? Would you do any design as
No,
well?
I don't do any design, but by looking a lot at the designs that designers give you and implement that in
Ah,
CSS
yeah,
and
yeah.
HTML, you start to develop some UX UI sense. Yeah.
Get the intuition for it a little bit, right?
Yeah, and by using a lot of other software and website, you started to
Mm.
see what makes sense and what not, and what is
Yeah,
friendly
yeah,
and what
yeah.
is not friendly.
Okay.
So after that first company, I moved to another company, which is a Singapore company, but it was in the Vietnam office, and I worked in Vietnam for another 1 year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then they closed down the office in Vietnam, so they relocate me and the
Okay.
team to Singapore. So that's how I got to Singapore. And
Okay.
in this second company, I was doing Ruby on Rails. It was completely
Okay.
new to me.
Mm-hmm.
I had to take a course, buy a course from Udemy for $50, and then learn Ruby on Rails before I
Yeah.
take on the job.
I've never coded in Ruby, but I've heard it's super famous actually.
But yeah, in Vietnam, Ruby on Rails developers are always the
Interesting.
highest salary.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell me about the difference of living in Vietnam and living in Singapore. So out of a sudden, you are, I guess, outside of your country, far away from your family, in a different. Well, to be honest, I've never visited either of these countries, so I don't really know how different they are. But I know that Singapore is very much very like a big city, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the difference? Like, how did you feel?
Well, in terms of family, I have never lived with my family since I moved to college because we live quite far
Yeah.
apart to each other. I moved to the
Okay.
city to study, and then I stayed in the
Right.
city to work.
Work.
So yeah,
Hmm.
it was not different from much for me. In terms of the environment, I think in Singapore there are more opportunity and it's easier for you to advance the career in Singapore,
Mm,
especially
right.
you are coming from Vietnam like me. I know a lot of people who are very good at coding, way better than me, but because of course circumstances and opportunities, they could not manage to get a job in Singapore, even if they want to. And
Hmm.
once you land in Singapore, the CV itself that you are now working in Singapore is means a lot to me back then. Like
Mm, okay.
it was a highlight in my
Mm,
working history.
right.
And yeah, that's one thing. And the other thing is that for events and the I would say the tech industry overall in
Right.
Singapore, it gives you more
Hmm.
chances to grow
Mm.
and to learn. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, also the people in Singapore I can see that they are from all over the world come here
Right,
to
right.
work, and they are very good at their job. So again, it's good for you to learn.
How did it feel suddenly starting to like meeting people from different cultures and all over the world? Like, did it kind of somehow open your mind for other perspectives and other ways of seeing life, or not so much?
Oh well, I have a huge imposter syndrome back then. Like I
Really?
did not belong here. Well, how did I get
Okay.
here? but but yeah, the feeling goes away by time.
Hmm.
And yeah, as I talk more to people around me in the company and at Zendesk as well, I started to get the sense, the overall sense of working in Singapore. And I can say after I work at the first company in Singapore, after I relocate and then move to Zendesk, I feel like after that I can move anywhere. Like I
Okay.
feel like the opportunities are everywhere that I can. Even if after I work for the Zendesk company, I can
Hmm.
interview. I was having planned to interview at Google, Facebook because they were all
Wow.
there,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Netflix as well. I was very hardcore back then in terms of
Uh-huh.
programming and
Yeah.
technology in general.
You started feeling like what I like to describe the engineering rock star feeling. I had the same feeling when I was working in Travel. Like
Yeah,
suddenly you gain much more money than a lot of other professions.
that's
You don't
true.
work as much, right? Like you flexible schedules. I don't know. In we had like beer and like parties, and you start feeling like what is this profession? Like in the beginning, like being a developer was like for nerds, and now suddenly like we are rock stars. And you know, it starts
Yeah,
kind of feeling and I guess you're trying more to follow than this kind of tech path and try to go to Google and yeah
yeah,
to follow the classic software engineering path. Were you
yeah.
like
That's
more
true.
thinking about then the fame or the money? Like what was it like in your mind? What do you want to achieve back then?
I don't think it was a lot about money because even at the role that I was at my previous company, I was making a lot. Okay, to my in my
Hmm.
opinion. So
Yeah.
I think if I go to Google and like get like 50% rise or even double that, it was not a
Hmm.
significant feeling for me. Like if you 10s the salary, it would be significant. But if you
Of
2s,
course. Yeah.
it doesn't feel much more. And like I cannot consume more. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
even if I
Yeah.
had
Got
more
it.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it
Great
was
feeling, by
more
the way.
like it was
Yeah.
yeah great feeling. It was more like the fame and
Mm.
the self proud of
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I wanted to achieve that. I
Yeah.
wanted to become like the best people in the industry, like Linus Torvald, the guy who
Yeah.
wrote Linus,
Yeah.
DHH, the guy who
Yeah.
wrote Ruby on Rails.
Yeah.
Those legendaries was what I was aiming for.
Hmm.
And yeah, if I would go straight to the end, I would say that I would have never, like, I will never achieve that. I know
Hmm.
because at some point I realized that I cannot process further. Like my ability is limited.
Okay.
Even if I was the best in the area, or in the company, or in the whole country, at some
Hmm.
point you look at and you see that uh, this is your limit. You cannot go higher.
But what made you decide that? What made you think that that was your limit?
I think I can go a little bit further in the career path, but I can see that I could never be a success as some of the legendaries I shared with you earlier.
But why?
So
You think you don't have the skills or you don't have the passion to work for it?
I think I don't have enough skill. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I at the time I was reading a lot of books and a lot of hardcore
Hmm.
books on Linux programming,
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
data intensive applications,
Uh-huh.
on streaming, on distributed system microservices.
Yeah.
I read a lot of those because those were the thing that I aiming forward to. And at some point, I think I started to don't see the point anymore. I didn't see the point anymore.
Ah. So your entrepreneurship voice started talking louder and say like,
I
why
think
do you want
so.
to optimize this 1 millisecond? Like there's no point. No user will ever notice. Is that it?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time on that phase where I keep learning a lot, doing a lot of lead code,
Yeah.
reading a
Yeah.
lot of books, and sometimes when I have free time, I don't have anything in my mind, and remember back when I was younger, I was building
Yeah.
apps. I like that more.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
building just small little apps and have people use it, and they told me
Yeah.
that that app has saved me countless hours, and I like that feeling. And
I know what you
okay,
mean.
working as an engineer in the backend, working on large scale system also has
Mm-hmm.
its own satisfaction
Yeah.
satisfy in it, but
Yeah.
it does not feel as close as you are building something directly for your
Yeah.
users.
It's completely different. Yeah.
Yeah, and as an enterprise, the last company I
Uh-huh.
work for, enterprise, you feel like you are a cog in a big machine, like literally. And
Yeah.
that was the first time I ever feel like that. Because
Yeah.
previously I only worked for outsource company and later on a startup, and then I
Mm-hmm.
jumped to an enterprise, a big enterprise. For the in the first year, I learned a lot. I really like it the first year, and then
Mm-hmm.
after the first year, the second year, I started to feel like I'm getting used to this, and
Yeah. And
it's not good, man.
yeah.
This is
I know what you
too
mean. Yeah.
comfortable,
Yeah. Yeah.
too comfortable, and
Yeah.
yeah,
And I totally
yeah,
understand what you mean. Like when you feel that you could be hit by a bus tomorrow and nothing would change in this company. That you have almost no impact, right?
yeah.
They would like
For
replace you
any
with the next
enterprise,
engineer.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That is
Right.
any enterprise company will cover that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, they have everything
So
covered.
your entrepreneur calling or voice started to call you very loudly, and
Yeah,
you had this decision, the decision of quitting your job and going full time as an indie hacker. You had saved money, right? Because you didn't have
yeah,
you were getting more money than you actually could spend. So you had obviously some savings. So tell me
yeah.
this process of making the decision of like going all in and quitting your job.
The indie hackers community was not a thing for me back then. I did not know about that.
Mm-hmm.
I know I know about the indie hacker term, but I have not seen anyone, and I don't know about the community on Twitter and on the indiehackers.com.
Mm-hmm.
So back then, I know a lot of no, I know a few people from Vietnam as well who are building apps, and then they make a living from it independently, and also at some point they make way more than the usual salary that you would get from a high paying job in tech. So it
Okay.
started to become clear to me that it is possible that you can build apps and live an independent life, and
Right.
even
Yeah.
better that you can earn way more than you work for Google, even Google or Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know that it was possible, and then I started to look at all of my side projects. I have a lot of side
Mm-hmm.
projects all the time, always, but they were never anything that make money. So
Right.
I started to think about something that I think the next side project of mine will be something that I will charge money. So I started looking at how to collect payment and
Mm-hmm.
thinking about ideas and what kind of apps that I can make, and what kind of app would make money for me, and yeah, I started to experiment on a lot of apps, and
Mm-hmm.
it started from there.
And so is that when you built DevUtils?
Actually, DevUtil wasn't the first attempt. Before DevUtils, I was building another idea,
Okay.
and it wasn't a success, and I have never talked about it at all. Like it was a failure. So coming from a hardcore engineer background,
Mm-hmm.
I got into a trap that I really want to share with all the people that who I think that a lot of people will have this trap, that we want to build something as an engineer. We want to build something that
Right.
beautiful from the inside.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's so true.
like
Yeah.
I took code as a form of art. It was not something practical. It's a form of art. So I was doing a lot of useless things that will satisfy my engineering soul, but will not be satisfying. Would not make sense at all if you are a solo engineer. So the app was something for developers to view logs. So that's a kind of a log viewer app. And I was spending a lot of time on designing both the UI UX and also the architecture. I use Golang and Swift. Golang is a backend and Swift is a native UI, and I use Protobuf to make the communication layer between.
Yeah.
So that later,
all the I get bleeding edge.
The idea was that when I have the backend in Golang and the Protobuf layer, I can port this to Windows and Linux, only need to rebuild the UI part, So I was almost building a framework for that communication layer. And then I still managed to get quite far with that. I built the app. I get all the unit tests laid out, all green.
Unit
a lot
tests.
Of unit. Yes.
You even build unit tests for a side project. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really engineering.
Well, that was my first attempt.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, I did a lot of things that doesn't make sense for one person team at all.
Yeah.
And it was all
it's normal. You're learning, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It was a big learning for me. Yeah. And I think I built that for a few months, like 4 months or even 5 months part time.
But you were still having your job, right? This was still a side project. Okay.
That was still a side project. I built it on weekends and at night. So still have a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so at some point I get bored. Like it's already like 4 months, 5 months, and the product is only have one feature. Only have one feature, and it is still buggy. all the abstractions layers and all the communication layers and the fancy stuff, it cannot prevent bugs. A lot of unit tests, but still bugs are still there. And it wasn't at the quality that I would be proud to show people. So I did not show it to anyone, and I closed the project and I archive it.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's a great project if you wanna going to Google, for instance, because you can show that you learn all of this Protobuf, Golang, blah blah, but not for an entrepreneur, right?
I think the thing that I wanted to make with that failure is the project. I wanted it to open a big files, like a terabyte size log files, and it can pass smoothly. So I get that to work a little bit, still buggy, But in the end, I don't even have a minimal working problem solving applications for people to use.
Right. Yeah.
So I was aiming too big.
So I guess you changed that approach afterwards, right? So when you started to build like an MVP, something that you could show right away, was it? Right?
Yeah, right. And now if I build something, I would build an MVP that as minimal as possible, that provide minimal value for the user. It's very important that you have to provide a net positive value, because without if the inconvenience of the problem is painful enough, that and the app solve it in a very minimal way, even a very minimal, they will keep to use it. If it a net positive value, they will keep using it. And then when you establish that base, you can start to increase the value that you deliver to people. And at the same time you get feedback and you get users, and you improve the app by the time. So it's the way I build I build apps right now.
So tell me, what problem were you at first trying to solve with Blackmagic?
Blackmagic comes after I jumped on Twitter. So before that, I built DevUtils, right? And DevUtils, after I launched it on Hacker News, got some traction.
I think DevUtils is basically a collection of multiple tools that developers can use without having to go online, right? Like a JSON formatter and I don't know, something like that. That they can just use it and they don't have to go online and do the classic JSON online free converter or something, or JSON this kind of
Yeah,
search on
yeah.
Google.
Yeah, I guess I can talk about it a little bit. So DevUtils is a problem that I face myself like every day. Like
Yeah.
I think if you are a developer, so you know about stuff like converting a unit time to a human readable format,
Yeah.
and formatting JSON and decoding a base64 or decoding your
Yes,
JWT
yes,
tokens.
yeah.
Well, first of all, it's very inconvenient and very very time consuming to open a new browser tab.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the first thing, and the second thing, sometimes you want to decode a token, and that is quite sensitive, and you cannot copy the
Yeah.
company data and paste that randomly on any website, especially like
Exactly.
stuff
Yeah.
like the JSON payload may not be very good to share that with to paste that online,
Exactly. Yeah.
and some like private key, some certificates, those kind of stuff, it become a real problem, like security problem, if you do that
Yeah.
online. So yeah, a lot of small tools I gather into one small native Mac OS app,
Mm-hmm.
and I use that for myself for a while, and I started to send that to my friends, and they like it. It was all free back then. all
Yeah.
of my friends that I know in person, I let them use for free even now. So I don't
Okay.
sell to friends. I only sell to strangers. Yeah, yeah, and they gave me feedback, a lot of feedback, and I improved the app. At the time I launched on Hacker News, it was only have 5 or 6 tools. Now I have 40 tools, different kind of tools,
40
and every
tools.
tool
Okay.
is carefully crafted. Like the UI is carefully crafted one by one. It's not something like a book string manipulator
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
converter or something. It's a UI buttons, text boxes,
Mm-hmm.
and all
Wow.
that stuff
Mm-hmm.
with native UI app. So
Yeah.
I think the fact that it is a native app make it hard to copy because a lot of people
Yeah.
like us, web developers, we tend to do web apps. So there are a lot of copycats, but
Right. Yeah.
they could only do one electron or online apps. So I
Mm.
haven't seen a copycat with native app before. Maybe after
Mm-hmm.
someone listen to this, they will they will try
Yeah.
to compete with me, but I hope they will not. Somehow I got a skills that necessary to build a native app. I learned Swift, and I guess the fact that it is native get me a lot of customers, and a lot of people like
Mm.
it just because it is native and work
Right.
offline.
And then when did you decide to start asking money for it?
It was open source for a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
I open source the source code, and basically people can download the code and compile the app so that they can use it for free. So in the license, I stated clear that you can download the source code and you can build the app, but you cannot sell the app. Okay.
Right.
But if you want to have a pre-built version, a pre-built app, you can pay for $9. So that
Mm-hmm.
was the first price. So because when I started building that, I already have a target of selling it, because I was trying to break out
Yeah,
of
you
my
already have this
full-time job.
mindset. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was already always in my mind that I will charge for this at some point. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't know in what way or how to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I gave it for free using open source, and then I sell the pre-built. Uh, and a lot of people would opt in to buy the pre-built version, making my first dollars on Hacker News.
Ooh,
Yeah, it
nice.
was I was literally jumping.
Yeah. Oh man, I can
Yeah,
imagine.
literally
So,
jumping in the room.
so you use Hacker News as a way of launching your this tool, DevTools.
Yeah, I didn't consider it a launch at all. I just posted,
Right.
like I just try my luck, and I
Yeah.
get
Yeah. Yeah.
lucky.
It
I
worked.
somehow, yeah, I get lucky.
Yeah.
I think I don't post to Hacker News often,
Mm-hmm.
and that one I think that the Hacker News crowd would be interested in this, so I
Yeah.
posted
Yeah. Yeah.
once,
It's perfect
and somehow
target.
it got
Yeah.
up. So yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
I definitely got lucky there. Yeah.
Yeah. So you started building this tool. You started seeing that you could make money out of it. When did you like decided to quit your job to go full time?
DevUtils did not make a lot of money for me in the early days. So
Okay.
I really wanted to. The revenue was not very good. Hundred
How
a
much? How
month,
much? 100.
hundred
Okay.
dollars a month, or $200 a month, and I didn't think that it would be a success. A success. So
Mm-hmm.
I was not have a lot of confidence in the product back then. So I did not quit my job based on that YouTube. So I needed to try another one.
Right.
And dev videos, at times I put the project in inactive mode because
Mm-hmm.
one thing I was trying to gather more feedbacks around it, and another thing I was a little bit losing motivation. Even though I use the app every day, I did not manage to sell a lot, and
Right.
because of that, I sometimes I feel losing motivation, and I
Yeah, makes
stopped
sense.
working for the app from time to time. Like
Mm-hmm.
at one time, I think the whole month I did not work on it at all. Just play games, just
Mm-hmm.
take a break and play games. I
Yeah,
still
yeah.
have my full
Which is
time job,
important.
by the way.
Which is important. What were you waiting for to quit your full time job? Like, did you have like a goal? Like, I want to be making, I don't know, 500 MRR or something like that. Do you have a goal before?
I don't have a goal, but the thing that I am looking for before I quit my job is a clear trajectory to reach somewhere around 2K US dollar a month. That will
Mm.
cover my basic costs and allow me to travel and doing nomad stuff. So I don't really need to get to 2K. I just need a clear trajectory.
What does that mean?
It means that I know exactly what to do to get there in about 1 year or 2 years, you know.
Wow, but it's
And
so hard because an entrepreneur, like, you never know. It's for me, it's the
yeah, yeah,
most
yeah,
random and unpredictable thing in the world. So, like, how do you know that if you keep on doing the same thing in 2 years, you'll get there? Like, what
yeah.
statistics do you look for?
I don't know. I did not have any statistics at all. I guess it's mostly about gut feeling.
Right.
But at the time, I was definitely not quitting my job at the time when I building dev
Right.
videos and only have $200 a month, and if it was not even recurrent, you know, so we could
Yeah,
go down
yeah,
to
yeah.
zero
True.
anytime.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't have a clear plan on how
Uh-huh.
would I I increase the revenue if I quit my job now. So I did not quit my job because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really have I don't really need to have a clear like plan, but I
Yeah. You need to
just
feel it. You
something.
need to feel, okay, we're getting there. Like, it's
Yeah,
getting to. Did that feeling then come later for DevUtils?
it did come later, but for another product, which is Black
Okay.
Magic.
Ah, so
Yeah,
you
and
started like Magic before quitting your job.
yes, yeah.
Ah, okay. Tell
So
me
it's
about
it's
that.
quite related to each other, quite closely related to each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Let me share about this. So so at the time, right, as I share, DevUtils was poorly performed, and it make very little money. So I look at other people who are also indie hackers from Vietnam as well. So fellow Vietnamese. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
looked to them, and they shared to me that you should jump on Twitter. Like people on the internet are on Twitter, and your customer are probably there too. So you should jump on Twitter, make noises,
Yeah.
and maybe you will have more customer to your dev YouTube app. So that's why I decided to log back into my
Yeah.
old Twitter account and started to tweet and started to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to use Twitter and
Right.
how to build an audience on Twitter and that's how I started. So the purpose of going on Twitter is to somehow getting more traffic to dev YouTube
Yeah.
because at the time,
It's a marketing
yeah,
channel, Twitter, right?
yes, it was a marketing channel
Yeah.
for me, and now it's still. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
at the time, if I the website, the dev videos website, it doesn't have any visitor at all. If I don't do anything, like I don't send a link anywhere,
Yeah.
it doesn't have any visitor at all. And
Yeah. I know the
now
feeling.
jumping on
Yeah.
Twitter, having a presence on Twitter, the traffic getting there is quite consistent. So it was a huge win. So if anyone is building any product and going on a solo indie, you should jump on Twitter or have an audience somewhere.
Definitely. Yeah.
Build a community somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I jump on Twitter. As you know, as a developer, when you see problem, you started to think how to solve problem with code. So when I use Twitter, I see a lot of problems. I see a lot of problems on Twitter. Like, I wanted to do this, but I cannot. I wanted to do that. I also cannot. So one of the things that I tried to do back then was to create noise, like do something that outstanding, that creative, that catches the attention from people. Yeah. So I was thinking, okay, what Twitter have a banner. It has a profile picture. What can I do with it? Like, can I use a GIF for my banner? I cannot. Can I use a GIF for my profile? I cannot. But then I look at the API and I think I find out that I cannot make it a GIF, but I can update it every 15 seconds. Like, I can do it. Like, Twitter API somehow allows me to update my banner and my profile pic every 15 seconds. So I started to see what else I can do with it. Like, okay, I can update my banner for every 15 seconds. What can I do that is fun, that is creative, and that catches people's attention? So
totally. But there's something, sorry to interrupt, there's something really interesting. So when I first started with Twitter, because very similar, people just told me, go to Twitter, there's a lot of indie hackers there or something. And I started, and I didn't do that. Like, I was like just tweeting and liking and trying to figure out how to work with the algorithm. But definitely not like, okay, how can I put GIFs on my bio? Like, this didn't come to mind. So why did this come to your mind? That's what I'm, curious about.
I think I started like you too. I started to jump on Twitter. I comment to people. I tweet more than I comment to people. And I realized that when you have less than 100 followers, you tweet to an empty space. Nobody listens to you. Nobody read. So the only thing that they will read and they will interact with your tweet is that something that creative, that out of the world, that's fun. So after a while of using Twitter the usual way, the normal way, I think it's happened around. It happened for 1 or 2 months in my first time. The first time I used Twitter, for the first the 1 or 2 months, I use it as a normal person. I tweet boring stuff. But then I realized that in order to get attention, I need to do something out of the box.
How did you realize that? Like, did you see something that triggered that thought?
Yeah, it was clear that because when I browse Twitter, I see a lot of viral tweets that have the same characteristic. So viral tweet or popular tweet, not necessarily viral. Those tweets are either funny. I'm not funny, so I can't do that. Very in depth about some topic. I could not do that as well. I didn't write very well back then. So and the other thing is something funny and something funny and creative, and catching people's attention.
Right.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with one of the accounts that I follow on Twitter. That person, I don't know if she or he build crazy stuff on macOS, and then they record a GIF, a small bites of GIFs and videos, show that. And the things that person does is so unique and so stupid, but it's so fun and so creative. And I wanted to do something like that with JavaScript and with Twitter. So I was I was using that as my main strategies to grow on Twitter in the early days. Yeah.
So let me just ask you this. So would you take your time to reflect? Like, is this in your process to like take a step back and take really hours or even days to think, okay, what can I do to make people notice me? Like, would it be something that you would like really stop and think, or not so much? You just came to your head and you tried to do it impulsively?
No, I was actively looking for crazy shit to do on Twitter. I was actively looking and trying to read stuff that inspires me to do crazy stuff. It was not something like I was having lunch and then let's do this. No, it was not. I I was trying a lot of stuff, and I was
That's important. That's important.
keep
Yeah.
brainstorming. Like every
Yeah.
time I see something creative, I like, whoa, what can I do that's similar to this and
Yeah.
have the same craziness,
Yeah.
the same viralness.
I think that that's so important as an entrepreneur because we tend to just go into autopilot mode and just repeat like, okay, let's
Yeah,
tweet, and you just tweet and tweet whatever comes to your mind, tweet, and you go into this autopilot mode, and then you feel that you don't have time for anything, so you feel that you don't have time to think, right? But I
yeah,
see that
yeah,
it's really crucial to just take a step back, maybe one, two, maybe a week. Don't go, don't
yeah,
do anything. Just reflect and think and plan ahead. And it's nice to see
yeah,
that you did that and it actually worked.
yeah. I think I've done it in a very unhealthy way. At the time I
Why?
started working on Twitter, I think I spent more than 4 hours a day, or maybe five
Oh,
hours a
that's
day
nothing.
every day
Okay. Everyone does that, yeah.
on
Well,
Twitter.
at least
Oh,
I do.
okay, okay. Well, that's
Maybe it's just us, but yeah.
yeah. I was spending a lot of time to
Yeah, yeah.
basically test everything. I do all kind of stuff to try to crave out the attention from the crowd
Yeah, yeah.
and get people to notice. And yeah, some of the tweets blows up and get me a few hundred first followers,
Yeah.
and then something blow up later on, get me a few more
Hmm.
thousand.
So what was
Especially
the
one
first thing
thing,
that blew up that got you a lot of followers?
the first thing that blows up was a experiment I did with JavaScript. I was
Hmm.
building a water simulation stuff. It's fun. It's like a game, but it's not necessarily a game.
A
But it's
water simulation?
yeah, it's like a game. Like you draw on the screen,
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
then the blocks turn into water, and then it fall down, and then
Ah, okay.
it behaves like a water. It's
Okay.
just fun. I was playing that a game, and then I was fascinated by the water simulation mechanic in that
Yeah.
game. Then I tried to
Yeah.
reproduce it with JavaScript,
Hmm.
and after I do it, I see that this is quite fun. I will share that. I should share this, and I share this on Twitter, and then I copy that tweet and I reply to other people where people say, what are you working on this weekend? I built this simulation. Yeah, and then one of the reply I think a few hundred followers. People
Wow,
were
100
following.
followers. Crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in a range of I think few days. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
amazing.
it was the first succeed. Yeah,
Yeah. And then you start thinking, okay, I found it. I found the thing
yeah,
that will give me
yeah. I double
traction,
down
right?
on that a lot. I really
Yeah.
double down on that. Yeah. The next thing that did blow up was the banner thing. Yeah, so when people follow me, they show up on my banner just like that.
Yeah.
And I'm
And now
not sure
you
if
see a lot of people doing that. Is it because of
yeah,
you? You were the first one?
I'm pretty sure I was not the first one, but I think I'm the first one who get popular. So this idea was I know people who stream their games on the Twitter banner and let people
Hmm.
control the game using the keystroke. I read that somewhere. But this idea about following and then your profile picture show up on the banner, I'm not sure if
Yeah.
anyone have ever tried that. I don't really know, but I think mine is the one that got popular, and then a lot of people write about it. A lot of people record a video on how to build that, how to use Twitter
Uh-huh.
API to do that with JavaScript and API, and it's just and after that people just do that all the time, like
Oh,
everywhere. It
okay.
started to pop up
Yeah.
everywhere.
But you're still not selling anything. This was still not
Yeah,
black magic, right?
this was not black magic. This was not.
Okay.
Yeah, that did have a viral ingredient in it. Like when you follow and then you show up on the banner, you are so surprised and you think it's so cool that you comment on it,
Yeah, yeah.
and then people want to try. People want to try,
Yeah.
and they follow me. And then they find it so cool that they decided to stay. They don't unfollow, or maybe
Yeah, 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 yeah.
they forget to unfollow me. But
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, after 48 hours, I think I gained like 4,000 followers in 48 hours.
4,000.
Yeah,
Dude, that's
I was doing
incredible.
that. I was doing that around the time when I celebrate my 1K follower milestone, and
Yeah,
then the
yeah.
next 2 days I get to 5K. Some
Oh,
Wow.
dude, that's incredible.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. I could not
Yeah,
sleep.
yeah, yeah.
I could not sleep at those days.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. The
Yeah, it was
adrenaline must be
exciting.
really high. Yeah.
It was
And then the
exciting. Yeah.
snake.
Yeah, the snake come after.
Tell me about this. I saw the video on YouTube, man. That I didn't actually interact with it, but it sounds sick. Sound really cool. So tell me about this.
Yeah, the snake is the next thing I did. Another thing. So after that banner thing, right? People started to give me ideas. Like they give me a lot of ideas. You should do this. You should do that. What's the next is one of the things that comes up the most often, and the second most often is showing the stats, like MRR stats
Yeah,
for
yeah,
people
yeah,
who
yeah.
build in public, and
Yeah.
even show stats from Twitter itself. But I didn't manage to get the time to get around any of that, and I decided to go with the snake idea.
Mm.
So if you comment to any of my tweet with the arrow emojis, you can control the position of the snake, and then you can eat the food. And then I have a leaderboard where I show
Yeah.
the people who have the highest score. So a lot of people really try hard to get into the top. So it was quite fun.
But wait, I don't understand it. So where is the game happening? Is it in your header image on Twitter?
Yeah, so it happened like this. So my header is a game. The whole game is on my Twitter. You have a board with squares, and you have a snake which is also a series of squares, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you comment to my tweet, any of my tweet, yeah, you comment a left arrow.
Yeah.
Then the snake on my banner, like 15 seconds later, the snake on my banner will move one square to the left.
But then everyone is moving the same snake, right?
Yes. So you have to be fast. Yeah.
But how can you have a leaderboard then if everyone is moving the same snake?
So I know that. So I designed the game so that you can move multiple steps at once. So you can
Okay.
instead of only reply a single arrow, you can reply left, 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 up, left, left,
That's so
so that
cool.
you can secure 1 point if you are fast enough.
That's so creative.
Yeah, in my experience, not that a lot of people playing the game at the same time, like many people think. So
Right.
usually it's very easy to play if you just spend the time. I think
Can you
there's
still
one
do
person
it?
who spent. No, I shut it down already. But
No.
I think I will put it up back at some point to gain
Yeah,
some
let me
more
know.
engagement.
Yeah.
Well, when I was doing it, I think I have less than 10K followers. Now I have more. I think it will it will catch
It will
more
blow
players.
up. Yeah. Or maybe bring
Yeah.
another game. Why not?
Yeah, even if
That's risky.
I have the time. Yeah.
So, okay, at this point, how many followers after the snake game? How many followers did you have?
I don't really remember about the snake one. It was quite uneventful for me. It was fun,
Okay.
a lot of engagement, but it was not contributed a lot of followers. Only engagement. So
Only engagement, okay.
the only significant increase in my followers was that one time when I go from 1K to 5K. After that,
It's been gradual.
I just being normal again, and sometimes occasionally
Okay.
I do some crazy stuff again. Lately,
Okay.
I've been lazy on doing those crazy stuff. Instead, I tweet more about my building public.
Building public.
I guess sometimes I
right.
should get back to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the growth had been quite consistent since that time. I think it was a very good start. So it became easier later on.
So was all of these experiments that did they like made you realize that wait, maybe people will pay to have these experiences in their own Twitter profile, and that kind of brought the idea of Black Magic. Is that it?
Yeah, that's exactly how it went. And that that banner, right, and the profile pic as well, the progress bar the profile pic.
Yeah.
A lot of people, that as well. A lot of people want that on their profile, so I did that, and I didn't know how to what to name the product, so I named it Black Magic. It's like some magical stuff happening on Twitter.
Exactly.
The original name was Twitter Black Magic. But then I figured out that Twitter would probably sue me if I use Twitter in my product. So I removed Twitter. It's just blackmagic.so. Yeah, and I started to put a lot of stuff, a lot of small little tools, the
into
profile,
that.
progress bar, and
Yeah.
the real time banner,
Yeah.
and
Very
later on
similar to
people,
DevUtils,
yeah,
which is really interesting. So DevUtils
yeah,
was the same for developers, and now you're basically copying the same model, but for Twitter
yeah,
users.
yeah. That's true. That's true.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What were the first features that you included before actually start selling? Or I know that at first you didn't even sell. You shared with people. I got your one of the codes actually in the beginning. I used it in the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. I gave it for free. I even share the source code. The source code is still open right now on my
Huh,
GitHub. So
okay.
I let the people use for free. But creating an application with API key and stuff is quite complicated for most
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So I make it into a SaaS, which is
Mm-hmm.
Blackmagic, and I let people use
Mm-hmm.
it for free. I slap in the beta tag. So I say
Mm-hmm.
this is a beta software. You can use this for free, so
Mm-hmm.
that when I decided to charge people, I can when I move out of beta, I can start to charge people. And
Right.
the profile progress bar was the first thing that I charged people. I get a very low fee.
Hmm.
It was $4 a month, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was $4 a month, and a lot of people, a lot of customers right now still on that plan, and they can
Mm.
use all the feature that I add all the time from that point to
Ah.
now,
So
which is very
that's the
good
business.
deal.
So yeah, definitely. So you have multiple tiers, and the more you pay, the more features you get. Is that correct?
No, it was not like that.
Hmm.
So at the beginning, it only has the profile progress bar, right? It was the only feature. So I sell
Right.
it at $4 a month. So anyone who
Mm-hmm.
pay $4 a month get that progress bar feature. And
Right.
then I add more features to Blackmagic. Every time I add a new feature, I increase the price.
What about
So
the early users? Did they have to pay more?
no, they don't. I grandfather them in.
Ah,
Yeah,
got it. So they have the same price. They are still paying $4 for all the features you have now.
they are. Yeah, a lot of
Wow.
them, quite a
Okay.
lot of them actually.
That's really
So
amazing.
the more features I added to Blackmagic, the higher price I put. So right now
Yeah.
it's $20 a month for the
$20. Uh-huh.
professional account.
And how much money were you making just from the bar?
Somewhere around 100 MRR, 100
Okay.
monthly recurrent revenue,
Okay.
and I launched it. I launched the tool, and I launched the sleep indicator, which is another tool in the
Oh
suite.
yeah. Is that's also yours?
Yeah.
That's
So you have
incredible.
seen
Like
that around?
I've seen it everywhere, like the sleep indicator, the bar, everything. And now I realize everything is black magic. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
People told me that I can put the ZZZ icons when they are sleeping, so people know that they are sleeping, so they don't, if they are late
Yeah.
to respond, they will know why.
Yeah.
I find it quite funny, and I
Yeah.
implemented it.
By the way, this is one of the questions that I got from Twitter. How do you decide which features to work next? Like, how do you prioritize which features to add to Blackmagic?
In the beginning, my top one priority is to get traction, to get
Right.
attention. I was still in the progress of getting more attention on Twitter.
Hmm.
So I even that I know it might not make a lot of money, and I think I did know that things like the banner and the progress bar is fun, but paying
Yeah.
for money for that, I don't think a lot of people would be willing to. So that's why I
Right.
also gave it for free for the most part. And
Hmm.
yeah, so the priority was to get attention, so that later on, if I build something significant, I will have the audience, and I have the free
Right.
users, so that it will leverage all the things that I have
Right.
done on this law.
Smart.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and also I only add the things that I like. The
Okay.
sleep indicator is fun, so I added that. I also
So
added
just because you like it, not
yeah,
because a lot of people were asking for it?
it's a mix of all.
Okay.
Yeah. So the one thing that I don't like, but a lot of people ask, so I added it, was the stock market price graph.
Hmm.
So the real time banner, you can show the stock market price and also the crypto coin price. I don't
Right.
really buy into that idea, but a lot
Yeah.
of people, especially the people in the Web3 area
Yeah, I can
and the
imagine. Yeah.
crypto community, they told
Yeah.
me, well, if you do this, if you do this, and then I will post on Reddit, and it will go viral for sure, man, for sure. So yeah,
Did
okay,
it go?
well,
Did it go
no.
viral? Amazing.
I look into the API. I get the price data from one of the exchange. I get into the stock market API. I gather all the thing. I did the graph. I did all the marketing stuff, and I post on Reddit. And some people say, "Oh wow, cool, cool," and that's it.
Cool.
that's
Thank you. No, yeah.
that's cool. I even put it on Hacker News, and one of the
Yeah.
comment, if I remember correctly, was, "Why, man? Why?" I said, "Okay, it's for fun. It's mostly
That's
for fun."
amazing. So I guess you
Yeah.
learned a lesson also, like don't do things that you don't like.
Yeah, but for the crypto part, I think I don't really regret doing that. I don't
Hmm.
really regret doing that because they earn me quite a few free users, so that's not nothing.
Mm.
So
Got
it's
it.
still
Yeah.
something that I think it will make sense. And also the code around building the graph on the banner, I
Hmm.
can reuse that code to do stuff like showing live
Yeah.
MRR or analytics.
Exactly.
So I was
Yeah.
thinking that I can at least reuse most of this
Mm.
if this is a failure. So I
Right.
wasn't really
Right.
regret that. But
Mm.
somehow till now I still haven't have anything new.
So
Yeah.
when did you decide to quit your job? How much money were you already making on Black Magic?
Yeah, I think at the time I had 300 MRR. It was a big jump from 100 to 300 and sometimes
Hmm.
350,
How
100
long did it
MRR.
take?
Few months, I think. Few months.
Hmm.
Few
Okay.
months. Yeah. So my graph is not consistent growth like this, but it's it jump from 0 to 100 and then goes flat for a month or two, and then jump from
Uh-huh.
100 to 300 and go flat. And at the time it jumped to 350. I had a quite, I don't remember exactly how much, maybe 4,000, 7,000 followers on Twitter. I
Hmm.
have a bunch of free users from Blackmagic.
Hmm.
I have some MRR, 50,
Hmm.
350 MRR. I
Hmm.
also have some
Hmm.
revenue from dev UTOs as well because of all of
Hmm.
my activity on Twitter. My dev UTOs
Right.
started to
Right.
get
Right.
revenue as well. So I
Uh-huh.
was thinking this has a future. This
Yeah.
has a future for
You
sure.
had the gut feeling
I
that okay,
yeah.
this will fly. Yeah.
I did not have 2K MRR. I did not have 2K MRR, but I have a
But you
feeling
knew
that
you
I can
could
get
get
there.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I can get there. And
Right.
also, if I don't, like in 2 years, I still have enough money to live because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
making a
Great.
lot
Yeah.
on my job. So
Hmm.
I was ready to make that sacrifice.
Yeah.
Even if I don't make any money for the next 2 years, I'm okay with that.
So how long did it take, or how long did it pass since the moment you start going on Twitter and then quitting your job? How many months were there?
I joined on Twitter on March, and then
Hmm.
on the end of August, I quit my job.
6 months of still working as a side gig and then going. Yeah, okay, but when you started, then you kind of already this gut feeling that it could go somewhere. That's very
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, that's the thing I was looking for. If I
Yeah.
wait for 2K MRR, I feel like I would either become performing very poorly in my job because under the craziness coming in my side business life, I would
Yeah.
it would be affected to my job, and I don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so I as soon as possible, as soon as I see something working, I tell my boss that I will quit my job. And
Okay.
I also even tell them I'm working on this and this. If you
Yeah.
want, you can tell the company to buy the license for for the whole company. That did not happen.
uh, so now tell me how like your routine changed, because this is something that a lot of people also ask, like what's Tony's routine? How is he able to ship so many features? So how did your routine change from doing this as a side project, probably working at nights and weekends, and now suddenly you can work on this full time? Like, did you go crazy and like kind of burn out and work too much, or were you able to like define a proper routine?
I think I have definitely on some degree of burnout. At first, I
Okay.
thought I would have all the time in the world. so I can do
Yeah.
everything I wanted. But then it got me. The energy got me. I feel so much energized and so much
Yeah.
motivation to do a lot of stuff. And
Yeah.
I ended up working a lot more than I would do in my full-time job.
Yeah.
Now I'm free. I don't have weekends anymore. And that was first few months after I quit my job. So the
Mm.
morning, I will wake up,
Yeah.
writing a lot of code, and release
Yeah.
right in the afternoon. And then after I release, I record some video and some demos, share it on Twitter, and do that over and over and over again. So
Okay.
morning building, afternoon sharing, and
Weekends and all,
tweeting,
everything.
weekend and all. Yeah. And
Wow.
especially at one time when I was moving back to from Singapore to Vietnam, I
Yeah.
had to move in to a concentrated quarantine, COVID-19 quarantine,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I had nothing else to do in that quarantine area.
Yeah. Oh.
I had nothing else. Me and my laptop, and I
Yeah.
code all the time, all the day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the routine was like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, building and then sharing
Yeah.
and tweeting on the afternoon and
Mm.
at night. Yeah, it was quite intensive. Now I don't do
Yeah.
that anymore. I
Yeah.
started to feel like it was quite a lot for me. And at the time I reached it 2K MRR and 3K MRR, I feel like okay, I can slow down
It's
now.
time to relax. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm safe. I think I'm safe.
Yeah.
So
So for all the
yeah.
listeners here of the podcast, there's no secret. It's just hard work. There's no secret why it's so fast. Like it's a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I think there's something I share about the time when I went from 300 MRR to 3K to 2K.
mhm.
I share that was a time that was a phase where I worked a lot, and that
Yeah.
article was the point. After I post that, I say to myself, okay, I'm done with this
Yeah.
intensity of work. So after I post that, so in the post I share about my unfair advantages. I think
Mhm.
hardworking is necessary, but
Mhm.
I don't think it's if you're hardworking, if you don't have something that unique of your own and you don't leverage some of your advantage, it's
Mhm.
become difficult.
Right.
It just
Right.
become difficult. It's not impossible, but difficult. So I think one of the reason I was able to build so fast is that I have spent a lot of time on all aspects of building a product, from
Right.
front end to back end to database,
Yeah.
and even I have some sense of design. My design is quite
Yeah.
okay. I can use Photoshop.
I love your products. That's what I was about to ask, and a lot of people also said is like, how is Tony making such beautiful products? You know, they look super good.
It just you start to develop a sense of design when you work on a lot of beautiful design
Yeah.
for a long time.
Yeah. So it was actually beneficial for you to work before for others, to have boss, to work for other companies, because you got to learn all of this, right?
Absolutely. I'm very grateful for that. I really appreciate the 7 years of me working in the industry. You gain a lot of knowledge and insights, and also gain a lot of skills as well. I work on startup, outsource, and enterprise, which is the three major area of the software industry that I need
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
experience, and I experience it all, which help a lot. So even if you wanted to become an entrepreneur in the beginning, I think it's still beneficial for you to get into the industry and see how people build softwares. And
Yeah. I agree.
maybe you can learn a thing from that.
Totally
Always
agree.
keep a side project at all time
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to practice the mind and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I think once you become a full time entrepreneur, a lot of things change as well. And that mindset of like, for instance, doing more doing MVPs instead of like spending months and months building a product that maybe no one will ever use, I think is something really important. But
Yeah,
so
yeah.
one thing that is interesting though, because a lot of people also say don't build features, do marketing, right? But it seems that you are just like every day building new features. Like you are every day, as you said, waking up, coding, releasing a feature, then releasing a video, and that's
Yeah.
how you were able to grow, right? So can you clarify this, please?
No, I think they are right. You should definitely do more marketing. For me, I don't know, somehow my product doesn't need a lot of marketing, especially for the Blackmagic product. It has a very effective and direct marketing channel, which is my Twitter. So I think
Right.
that product have a very direct marketing channel, which is on Twitter. A lot of other product doesn't have that luxury. Like if you do
True.
something that totally unrelated to your audience and unrelated to Twitter, it's become difficult for you to combine
True. Yeah.
your Twitter audience and the product.
Yeah.
So in my case, I use Twitter. I have an audience on Twitter, and I build a Twitter product. So it's kind of a perfect
Yeah.
mix.
It's
So
perfect.
because of that, I didn't feel like pressure to do a lot of marketing for Black Magic, and I think it is a special case. It's not generalized for anyone. It could be you can do that for other product if you have an audience that is directly related to your product, and then you are actively engaged with that audience or that community, and the community have a big enough size, for the awareness and stuff. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you would have to do marketing a lot by either tweeting, SEO, or blog
Yeah.
posts, or other stuff.
Yeah.
But for me,
True.
especially for Black Magic, I didn't feel like I have to do a lot of that.
Because it's connected. But you also said that like you reach 100 MRR plateaued, you reach 300 plateaued, and then you went from 300 to 2000. So what worked? How did you go from 300 to 2000?
So that was the time I launched the banner feature on Product Hunt. So first I launched it on Twitter, and then I launched it on Product Hunt on the very next day. So that and because I was having a lot of people on my Twitter, I was having an audience, and people was very helpful and very supportive.
Right.
They jumped on Product Hunt to support my launch, and because of that, it went to the top page, and it gets some attention from the front page.
Right.
And then people coming in, and then they pay for the product, and I think the big jump was from that launch.
So how much money did you make in that launch? So you went from 300 to how much?
300 to 2K
In one launch with the product hunt.
Yeah, it started from the launch.
And how long did it take then to?
I think 2 weeks or even 1 month after the launch was the time where my MMR growth.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and then after
That's
that
really cool.
it stopped growing. It is still grow, but it's slow, because I guess this is a point where you can say that I should do more marketing, because if I did marketing, it would have continued growing, but instead
Yeah,
it growing, and then it's flat out.
because you
And at
did
the
a
point-
launch, right? A launch
Yeah.
is marketing, but it's a one-time kind of marketing thing. Whereas tweeting every day, it's a consistent strategy of marketing, I would say.
That's true. If I can unlock a marketing channel that can get an consistent traffic
Yeah.
into the website, I guess the growth
Yeah.
will continue to grow up. In this case, the only significant traffic jump was the launch, and then the usual traffic from my Twitter, which is not very much. So it didn't grow much after the launch. So my growth was always like a jump and then flat, and then another jump and flat again.
Yeah, because you do this kind of launch marketing, right?
Yeah, sometimes when something eventful happen, and then it blows up, and then people jump in and it grow. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then after
got
that,
it.
it become back to normal. But I'm thankfully that people who jump in and pay when during the launch, they didn't leave. So
Yeah.
otherwise
Yeah,
it
they
would
like the
have
product.
go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your current MRR?
Right now it's 7,300 last time I checked.
Wow.
Okay. MRR.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Thanks.
That is already matching a developer salary or even surpassing it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in Vietnam. Yeah. Way above the market salary in Vietnam. Yeah.
So tell me, what is your goals now? Because I mean, I know your goal is 10K, but I guess it seems that you're going to reach it soon. After that, what is your goal? Like, do you want to keep on building stuff? Do you want to just retire? Because this is kind of a passive income a little bit, right? I mean, it's in maintenance mode, but you can just hire someone to just maintain it, and that's it somehow, right? So what are your plans for the future? What's going through your mind?
Right now, the plan is to I still build a product from what I love, because I have plans for features that I wanted to exist in Blackmagic, but right now it's still not. And
Right.
I wanted to do that in a way that relax and allow me to travel around the world. So that is the short term plan. So I don't really know what the ultimate plan for Blackmagic, because at some point it can turn into some kind of B2B analytics platform
Right.
for business, or it can stay as a indie app, like a small analytics indie app, and grow attention and stay stable like that. I don't really I don't have a fixed plan for that, so I'm open for anything, even hiring people to maintain
Or
it for
selling.
me, or yeah, even for selling. Yeah, uh,
Okay.
always open for that. If the
Yeah.
price is enough, I'm for sure
Yeah.
I can sell. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I have a lot of ideas. I'm cursed
Yeah. I can
with
imagine.
with ideas. So even if this is gone, I have a lot of other fun things to do, and I think they will get to
Yeah.
some level of success. Success.
So
Yeah,
if it's up to you, you'll never work for someone else again, right? You'll forever be an entrepreneur.
most likely, yeah. Unless Twitter buy Blackmagic, and then I work for Twitter.
Ah, okay. Twitter. Now you know Elon Musk.
Because I find it quite fit. A lot of things I think that should be in the Twitter app natively. But yeah,
So there's still a part of you that wants that, engineering path, or working for one of the big tech
not
companies.
quite as strong as before. Now
Yeah.
I'm more like I do everything, but as long as I'm free and I don't have to ask anyone for my vacation. Yeah,
Okay.
and so that's my priority. Yeah.
Let me just tell this to all the listeners. If you are listening to this, just tag Elon Musk. I'll share this spot, or just go on Twitter and say, Elon Musk, buy Black Magic. Just do this, and let's see what happens. It will be really fun. Tony, thank you so much for your time. We end up speaking 1 hour and a half. Sorry for taking so long, but it was such an interesting conversation. We've learned so much. I'm sure that a lot of the listeners here learned a lot about your journey. So it was a true pleasure. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me, and good luck with the show, Tiago.
Tony's Twitter profile and website will be in the description of this episode. And if you are a new listener, you might be interested in hearing the chat that I had with Peter Levels. It's episode 184, and he basically also shares his journey in the indie making world, and I think you'll like it as well. Besides that, if you want help building your projects, join us in the WB space, a community of indie makers where all they're supporting each other, and it basically facilitates the journey, the path towards profitability in your side projects or indie projects. Like always, all of this information will be in the show notes of this episode. This was another Wannabe Entrepreneur. See you next time.